Welcome back to Painting in the Shed with me, Oliver Pengilly. Painting in the Shed is a series I did a long time ago, but I thought I'd bring back the logo because I am still in the same shed stroke garage painting with oils on this bit of hardboard here I had. I didn't like the painting I did underneath, so I turned it upside down and started painting over it. I wiped off as much paint as I could, and so I started off with white and lemon yellow, and then cadmium yellow and yellow ochre. This is a bit of sap green coming in here now with the fan brush. Starting off in the distance, the lightest part. It's kind of how I always start most landscapes, is where the light's going to be first, and then start adding on the colours afterwards. I would say these colours are a bit too strong actually for the background. They should be a bit more muted than this. But yeah, and also I'm trying to cover the painting underneath, which it'd be a lot easier if the painting underneath was a little less visible. I've had some blue on here. I think it's phthalo blue. It looks like, I can't remember now, I did this painting a little while ago, but I'm adding a little bit of burnt umber as well into that mix, just to sort of mute some of the colours, because I realised I was going quite heavy with the greens and I want that for the more foreground of the painting, so I'm just sort of muting some of the textures and lines and also the colours here with the fan brush again. Not a lot of paint on my brush at all, and I'm not a very heavy painter, especially not when you're working in the background. Here I'm starting to layer in, I think there's a bit of crimson on the brush there with the blue to give a slightly purple, sort of purplish brown colour. Just because actually in a forest you do get lots of different colours, very subtle changes of colour sometimes. But you do get some blues and purples and things in there, depending on what time of the year it is and what kind of forest it is. What type of trees you're doing. I'm indicating some trunks here by going up and down with the fan brush, just to in case anything shows through, because when you do stuff on top, you'll see through it and you want to see something behind, some sort of indication of trees behind. So that's what I'm doing there. Going back with the lemon yellow and the white just to pick out some light here. I just felt like it wasn't quite, not enough light inside the middle there. I wanted a bit more light going through the trees, so because I know the trees on top are going to be heavier, so I wanted to show a little bit more light behind before I went in. It's a lot easier to copy from a photo. I'm making this one up in my head. I'm not actually using anything for reference here, so I'm sort of guessing where the light's going to be, where it's hitting certain things. I want a little path running along here to draw your eye into the middle. And at this stage, I'm not really sure what I'm going to put in the middle. I think it's ends up being a little tree, but I was thinking about putting people walking along and things like that. You can paint what you want inside. Once you've got the landscape set up like this, you can, or put nothing in it if you want. So I'm putting some trees here, some trunks with the sap green and burnt umber and all the greens I've sort of mixed on my palette. My palette looks a bit of a mess at the moment, but you sort of pick out some colours that you like. I skipped on a bit there. I missed a bit of footage, but I basically used a round hog hair brush to do the trunks of the trees there, using a bit more blue and a bit more burnt umber in the colour. Possibly a little bit of black at this stage as well to get those trees. Now I'm sort of forming the landscape a little bit more there, defining more where the path is and where it isn't. And this is a bigger, much bigger, this is a decorating brush. You can get them from, well, in England, B&Q and Homebase, but I guess in the US it would be, Home Hardware, is that what it's called? I don't know. Using the fan brush again, going in with black and burnt umber to put in some of the conifer sort of leaves there, branches, just to give me an indication of where I'm going with this and where the light's going to be. I feel like I've done quite enough in the background at the moment at this stage. I'm moving the light around to show you that it's not, because it's really hard. I mean, I know there are ways of filming paintings without the shine, but you have to buy a lot of equipment for that, and I haven't got enough money at the moment, so I'm making do with lamps. So you do get a shine, so I'm trying to move the light so that you can see the actual colours I'm painting. This is sap green and black and burnt umber. So I decided to put a tree in the middle of this painting as my focal point, Obviously that path is leading you somewhere, and I wanted something to look at once you your eye leads you to that central point in the painting. So I thought a little young sapling tree here growing in the forest would look quite beautiful with the light behind it. So I'm using a very a pointed, this is actually a school brush. That's what they're called anyway, from artdiscount.com. They do packs of these, I think it's number 8 synthetic brushes. They're called school, for schools. But they are brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Nylon brushes, good points on them. I will say, if you're using oil paint a lot with these brushes, the point won't last that long. You do have to keep using a new one every few weeks. So it depends on how many paintings you do, but you know, it's good to try and keep these out of the pot as much as possible and dry them off and keep that point. So I'm putting on the leaves here with the sap green and the yellow ochre, and those colours I've already mentioned are basically all the colours I use in this painting. Phthalo blue, sap green, lemon yellow ochre, I already said that, black. Yeah, realised that was a bit too dark, that branch there. It's a bit distracting from the main tree. I wanted a bit more light behind that tree, so it stood out a bit more. As you can see, the paint's getting a lot thicker here now. I think it's because it's all wet and I'm trying to do it all in one evening. If you've got the luxury of time, you could let the background dry and then go back and add this tree, but because I'm painting wet on wet, I'm actually having to use a lot more paint as I build up the painting. So it starts off quite thin, and then as you paint more and more layers on, they get thicker and thicker. This is my branch here, making this darker. It's not standing out quite enough from the background. And with trees, I was talking to a friend of mine recently about trees and how difficult they are. Basic rule of thumb for me is they always get thicker towards the base and they get thinner as the branches go outwards. So as long as you keep to that general rule, they can go roughly in any direction. Just be free with trees. Try and let your brush wander along the... What's it that take your line for a walk? That's a quote from someone, isn't it? Is that... I'm going to say Picasso, but it's probably not, is it? Oh, I don't know who that was. But yeah, here I let the brush do the wandering. With the light here, I'm hitting the left and right depending on which side of the light the trees are facing. So on the left-hand side, the light is obviously on the right-hand side of the trees, and on the opposite, it's the other way around. So basically, just draw a line with your eye from where the light is outwards in all directions. That's where the light would be hitting things. As you can see, the painting's almost done. I'm using a Q-tip here. It's a good way of removing paint if you've gone a bit too heavy with some of the colours and you want to... And I'm actually using it now to paint white on as well, so it's a very good tool, this. It's like using a little tiny finger. My fingers are too fat and old now, so using a Q-tip is a good way of smudging or taking away paint from an oil painting. I'm going back now with the dark colours, but obviously got that shine on the top right corner of the painting because of the lamp. Sorry about that. I think at the end you'll see the painting finished anyway, so you'll see what happens at the end, where the colours are. Shadows going away from the bottoms of the trees. There would, of course, in real life be a lot more shadows and light flickering on different parts of the painting, but if you keep to that general idea that the light's coming from the middle and you're hitting the light on the right side of things, it should be fine. Going back with the small brush and my hand. Now you can see every scale on my hand. That's disgusting. Sorry about that. I set the camera up and I don't really look at the camera when I'm painting. Obviously I'm looking at what I'm painting. But so the shadow here would be, I guess, directly in front of the tree because the light's behind. So I'm putting the shadow there. We're nearly coming to the end now. Sorry if it's been going on too long for you. I think I might put some rain sounds in the background of this painting or something. Running out of music and things, I don't really know. If anyone could write a comment about, where to get free music from, or in fact, if you're someone who makes music and you want me to put some of your music on my videos, let me know. I put some sort of steps there to indicate some sort of maybe ancient steps that were under the moss. just again to give something more to the painting, a little bit more detail. Some rocks there with light on top, just covered in moss, not standing out too much. Now I'm dabbing on with this is the round bristle brush again. I mean, rough brushes are great for trees if they're beaten up a little bit, because they sort of do their own thing. And then I sign it at the back of a brush here. I'm using the end of a brush just to scrape through the paint to sign it. So it's like using a pen. And that is the final painting. So I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll post another video really soon. Thanks again. Don't forget, you can order prints. Just send me an email.